The farm was alive with movement. The early morning light revealed a transformation that Eli could hardly believe. What had once been a quiet farmhouse and fields now resembled a carefully prepared stronghold. Human fighters moved with precision, coordinating silently to cover every approach, while the alien guided them toward natural barriers and hidden paths only it could detect. Eli watched them with a mixture of pride and awe. He had never been part of something so important. The small axe he had taken the warmth of a blanket. The careful tending of wounds had grown into something far larger. He realized now that humans had a way of turning small kindness into enormous courage. Eli, the tall woman fighter, called. "We need to test the sensors and scout the perimeter. Can you help me?" He nodded, grabbing a pair of binoculars. They moved toward the tree line, careful not to disturb the natural environment. The alien followed, humming softly, its glowing eyes alert to every movement. It pointed out subtle signs, broken branches, disturbed soil, and faint tracks that humans would have missed. Eli realized that their guest was not only intelligent, but also extremely observant. Hours passed as they moved through the fields and edges of the forest, setting sensors and mapping the land. The alien seemed to communicate with the humans more confidently now, its melodic sounds guiding their actions. Every time Eli watched the interaction, he felt a swell of hope. Here was proof that cooperation could bridge the vast differences between species. Suddenly, a faint glimmer of light appeared in the distance. The humans froze, exchanging quick gestures. Eli raised his binoculars and saw small scout ships approaching similar to the ones they had observed before. But this time, they were closer, moving cautiously as if testing the farm's defenses. The alien made a series of rapid melodic sounds, pointing toward specific locations. The humans understood immediately. They repositioned, using the terrain to their advantage. Eli felt a surge of pride. Humans were clever, but combined with the aliens' knowledge, they were unstoppable in their ability to prepare and adapt. The scouts circled, observing but not attacking. Eli realized that they were studying the humans, perhaps trying to understand why this small farm had become so well defended. He smiled faintly to himself. Humans were not just strong, they were creative, unpredictable, and courageous. As night fell, the fighters gathered around a fire, discussing strategies in low voices. Eli joined them, curious to hear their plans. "We won't strike first," the woman said firmly. "Our strength is in our intelligence and preparation. Let them come closer, but we will be ready." Eli nodded, feeling a deep respect for their discipline. He had expected confrontation, perhaps even violence. But these humans relied on cleverness, teamwork, and courage, not recklessness. The alien, now resting nearby, hummed softly, almost in agreement. Eli realized that it understood the humans' approach. It trusted them, just as he did. Later that night, Eli noticed movement on the far edge of the farm. Small shadows flitted through the trees, scanning the area. The alien made a sharp sound, alerting the humans. They moved silently to positions, preparing to observe and respond. Eli stayed close to the alien, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. This was the first real sign of enemy scouts approaching, and he realized that the quiet farm he had known was now at the center of something much larger. Hours passed with tense observation. The scouts never came too close, but their presence was enough to teach the humans and the alien about their patterns and strategies. Every movement, every sound was noted. Eli marveled at the way humans and the alien worked together, learning from one another and creating a system of protection that felt almost like a living organism. By dawn, the first rays of sunlight revealed the full extent of the farm's defenses. The fields were lined with subtle sensors, natural barriers reinforced, and communication lines set up between humans and the alien. Eli had never imagined that his small farm could become such a place of preparation and strength. The alien made soft sounds again, pointing toward the horizon. Eli followed its gaze and saw something he had not expected: distant lights moving in formation. Larger ships than the scouts, slowly approaching. The enemy was coming. The humans reacted immediately. Positions were reinforced, sensors checked, and communication lines confirmed. Eli helped where he could, learning from them as they shared their knowledge. He realized that courage was not just about bravery, it was about preparation, intelligence, and the ability to inspire others. As the enemy ships drew closer, the alien moved beside Eli. Its soft glow pulsed, and it hummed in a pattern that the humans seemed to understand. They nodded and adjusted their strategies accordingly. Eli felt a surge of hope. Together, humans and the alien could face whatever was coming. The night stretched on, tense and quiet except for the soft hums of the alien and the occasional communication between humans. Eli could see the approaching ships now, their movements deliberate but cautious. They had learned something about the humans. They knew that this farm was not ordinary, and that the people here were clever and resourceful. The first scouts arrived at the tree line. The humans and the alien observed silently, noting their patterns. Eli realized that the scouts were testing the defenses, trying to find weaknesses. But there were none. Every movement had been anticipated, every possible approach considered. The alien made a final series of melodic sounds, and the humans nodded. They had understood the message. They were ready. Eli felt a surge of pride. Humans were not just strong, they were intelligent, compassionate, and capable of incredible coordination. And together with the alien, they had created something far greater than themselves. By morning, the approaching enemy ships began to retreat slightly, hesitant to engage. Eli realized that the combination of human ingenuity, alien knowledge, and careful preparation had already made a difference. They had shown that courage was not just about fighting, it was about intelligence, strategy, and the ability to work together. The alien turned to Eli, its glowing eyes softening. It reached out and touched his arm gently, a silent gesture of gratitude. Eli smiled faintly. "We're just getting started," he said. "This is only the beginning." As the sun rose higher, the humans continued to prepare, reinforcing their positions and sharing knowledge with one another. Eli worked alongside them, learning new strategies and realizing that courage was contagious. His small acts of kindness had inspired not only the alien, but also humans from across the frontier. And somewhere beyond the forest, Eli knew others were watching. The alien's people, alerted by its presence and by human courage, were preparing to respond. The farm had become a beacon, a symbol of hope, intelligence, and the unstoppable spirit of humanity. Eli sat beside the alien, looking out at the fields and the rising sun. "Tomorrow," he whispered, "we show them who we are." For the first time since the alien had arrived, Eli felt a quiet confidence, not because he was strong, not because he had weapons, but because he had allies, humans who shared his courage, and an alien who trusted him. Together, they could face anything. And in that moment, Eli realized the true power of humanity. It was not in force alone, but in kindness, intelligence, courage, and the ability to unite with others even across species to face the unknown. The farm, once quiet and simple, was now alive with purpose. Humans and alien alike moved with determination, preparing for the future. And Eli, who had started with a simple act of sharing a blanket, understood that even the smallest kindness could spark a movement capable of inspiring hope. Across the galaxy, the first light of dawn painted the farm in gentle shades of gold. Eli had not slept well. His mind raced with thoughts about the alien, the approaching ships, and the fighters who would soon arrive. Yet, there was a strange sense of calm now that the alien sat beside him, its soft glow dimming in the morning sun. The quiet was broken by a low hum in the distance, faint but growing steadily. Ellie's heart quickened. He grabbed his binoculars and scanned the horizon. Sure enough, small figures moved over the fields, coming closer with purpose and precision. Unlike the faint, hovering ships from the day before, these were humans trained, organized, and armed not for destruction but for protection. 5 of them arrived first, moving silently across the dew-covered grass. Each carried a small pack and advanced equipment, their eyes alert and observant. Eli stepped forward, raising his hand in greeting. "Eli?" A tall woman with short, dark hair approached him. Her voice was calm but carried authority. "We received your message. Is the alien safe?" Eli nodded. "Yes, for now. But I think we need to prepare. Something is coming." I don't know what. He gestured toward the forest edge. The alien watched the newcomers carefully, its glowing eyes flickering with curiosity and caution. One of the fighters, a man with a kind but serious face, knelt near the alien. "We've seen your species before," he said gently. "You did the right thing protecting it. You may not realize, but that act of kindness could change everything." The alien tilted its head, observing the humans. Its melodic hums became more deliberate, almost like it was communicating with them. The fighters exchanged glances, recognizing the meaning behind the sounds. Eli listened intently, trying to understand, though most of it was beyond human comprehension. "We need to fortify the farm," the woman said, breaking the silence. "If enemy scouts are approaching, we need to use every advantage: terrain, technology, and teamwork. Can you help, Eli?" Eli nodded quickly. "Of course. I know this land better than anyone." He led the fighters across the fields, showing them natural cover, hidden hollows, and the small rise near the forest that could serve as a lookout. The alien followed, moving slowly but steadily. Every so often, it emitted soft sounds, pointing toward areas that Eli hadn't noticed, hollows where water ran beneath the surface, natural barriers in the trees, and small clearings that could be used as paths for communication or escape. The humans took notes, impressed by the aliens' understanding of the land. Out by midday, the farm had begun to change. Small sensor devices were placed at strategic points, ropes and nets set to create obstacles if needed, and careful observation posts established along the tree line. Eli worked alongside the fighters, learning from them while also showing them ways to use the natural features of the farm to their advantage. During a short break, Eli asked the woman, "How many of you are coming?" She smiled faintly. "More are on their way. We've called in our network. Hundreds of human defenders may arrive." "You've already sparked a chain reaction with your message and your actions, Eli. Humans respond to courage, and your courage inspires more than you know." Eli felt a mix of pride and awe. He had started with a simple act, sharing a blanket, but now it had grown into something much larger. His small farm had become a place of hope, a gathering point for humans and aliens alike. As the afternoon wore on, they spotted movement near the forest edge. A small scout party approached, moving carefully but clearly with the intention to observe. The alien made a series of sharp, urgent sounds, pointing toward the scouts. The humans nodded, recognizing the pattern. "We need to show them we are prepared," the woman said. "But we do not strike first. Observation only. Let them learn that humans are clever and cautious." Eli felt a surge of pride. Humans were not just strong. They were intelligent, adaptable, and resourceful. They worked together, using strategy and foresight to face unknown threats. The scout party moved closer, but the humans and the alien remained calm. Using the sensors and the natural cover of the farm, they monitored the scouts' movements. Every now and then, the alien would point, hum, or gesture, providing information that humans could not have known on their own. Hours passed, and the sun began to lower. The farm now felt alive with quiet activity. The alien rested in a safe corner, while Eli and the fighters shared observations and plans. It was a strange, yet comforting, collaboration. Eli had never imagined that his life on the farm would involve working with beings from another species, but now it felt natural. By evening, more humans arrived, moving in small groups. Each new arrival brought additional supplies, sensors, and expertise. The farm was transforming into a stronghold, not built with walls and weapons alone, but with knowledge, teamwork, and courage. Eli watched in awe as ordinary humans, many of them farmers like himself, worked together to create a safe space for both human and alien lives. The alien made soft melodic sounds again, this time seeming to communicate gratitude. Eli smiled, reaching out to gently touch its arm. "They are here to help," he said softly. "You don't have to face anything alone anymore." The alien responded with a small, glowing gesture, a sign that Eli understood as a silent thank you. Night fell, and the farm glowed faintly with the lights of human sensors and devices. Eli felt a strange mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. He had started the day with a simple act of kindness, And now he was part of something far larger, something that could change the way humans and aliens interacted across the galaxy. Then, as he was about to rest, a faint hum echoed from the forest. The alien stiffened, glowing brighter. Eli grabbed his flashlight and peered toward the edge of the trees. Small shapes were moving, unidentified, precise, cautious. Not many, but enough to suggest that they were scouts, observing the farm, testing its defenses. The humans moved swiftly, taking positions but staying hidden. They communicated silently, using signals Eli did not fully understand but could follow. The alien joined them, its movements careful but confident. Together, humans and alien watched the scouts, learning their patterns, predicting their moves, and preparing for anything that might come next. Hours passed with tense observation. The scouts never approached too closely, but they made their presence known. It was clear that Ellie's farm was no longer invisible. Something bigger was out there, something that the humans and the alien needed to understand and respond to. Eli realized that the small act of sharing a blanket had grown into a moment that could ripple across the galaxy. It was not just about kindness anymore. It was about courage, intelligence, and the ability to inspire others. Humans were not just survivors. They were thinkers, planners, and collaborators. By the end of the night, the alien finally lay down to rest. Its breathing was calm, and its soft hum suggested that it trusted the humans and Eli completely now. Eli sat nearby, thinking about the days ahead. More fighters would arrive, the scouts might return, and the aliens' people would likely respond. The farm had become a gathering point for courage, intelligence, and unity. And somewhere beyond the forest, Eli knew other humans were already preparing to join. They would come because of what he had done, because humans always rise to protect the innocent and the vulnerable. The small farm had become a symbol, not just of survival, but of hope and inspiration. Eli looked at the glowing eyes of the alien, now calm and peaceful, and smiled faintly. "We've only just begun," he whispered. "Tomorrow, we face whatever comes together, for the first time since the alien had appeared." Eli felt ready, not because he was strong, not because he had weapons, but because he had allies, humans who shared his courage, and an alien who trusted him. And together, they would face the unknown, using intelligence, compassion, and the unstoppable spirit of humanity. As the stars twinkled above and the soft wind rustled the fields, Eli knew one thing clearly: the quiet farm he had once loved was gone, replaced by something greater, a place where humans could show their true strength, not in violence, but in courage, cooperation, and hope. Eli had barely slept that night. The soft glow of the alien's eyes in the darkness had kept him awake, reminding him that the quiet farm he had known was no longer entirely his own. He glanced at the creature lying on the pile of blankets near the fireplace. Its breathing was steady now, but it still looked fragile. Every so often, it made small melodic sounds, as if speaking to itself in a language Eli could not understand. The sun rose slowly over the fields, casting golden light across the farm. Eli stepped outside for a moment, taking a deep breath. The morning air was crisp, carrying the familiar scent of soil and growing crops. But beneath that peacefulness, Eli felt a pulse of tension. Something about last night's sounds, the rustling from the forest, had left him unsettled. He had no time to dwell on it. The alien, now partially sitting up, turned its glowing eyes toward the forest edge. Its gaze was sharp, alert. Eli realized that it could sense something he could not. "What is it?" he asked quietly, moving closer. The alien made a soft whistling sound, almost like a warning. Then it pointed toward the tree line, its thin fingers trembling slightly. Eli followed its gesture and froze. A shimmer of movement passed through the trees. Shadows flickered as though someone or something was watching. The alien's eyes narrowed, its body tense. Ellie's stomach tightened. This was no ordinary animal. He went back inside, deciding to check the farmhouse's small storage room. He pulled out his old tools, ropes, and a lantern, thinking about ways to fortify the place if danger came. He also grabbed his small hunting rifle. He had never wanted to use it, but now it seemed like a small comfort, a way to feel in control. The alien had now started to make more distinct sounds. They were melodic and rhythmic, almost like a song. Eli sat down beside it. "I don't understand your words," he said, "but I think you're trying to tell me something important." The alien looked at him, then slowly touched the markings on its arm. It was as if it wanted him to notice them, to understand their meaning. Eli frowned, trying to make sense of the glowing symbols. They weren't just decoration. They seemed like communication, a code of some kind. His heart raced. If the alien was trying to send a message, it could mean that others of its kind were nearby or that danger was coming. He spent the next few hours observing the alien carefully. It moved slowly, testing its legs, but still weak. Eli gave it some water and small pieces of bread. The alien's small gestures of gratitude, nodding its head and humming softly, made Eli smile. He realized that trust was growing between them, and that small connection gave him courage. By late morning, Eli saw movement again near the forest. This time it was different, smaller ships, faint and distant, gliding just above the treetops. The alien's eyes widened, and it made a sharper, urgent sound. Eli grabbed his binoculars and tried to make out what was approaching. He could see shapes, now ships with smooth curves, unlike anything he had seen in human technology. They moved with precision, scanning the farm as they approached. Ellie's mind raced. Who were they? Friend or foe? And what did they want with the alien he had just saved? The alien made a soft gesture, pointing toward the horizon, then at Eli. He realized it was trying to communicate a plan, a way to prepare for whatever was coming. Even without words, Eli understood. They had to stay calm, observe, and protect themselves. As the hours passed, Eli noticed small flashes of light in the distance, moving quickly through the sky. It was as if more forces were gathering, converging toward the farm. He began to realize that the alien was not just a random visitor, it was a scout, part of a larger group facing some threat. Eli decided he needed help. He reached for his old radio, hoping to contact nearby colonies. He sent out a simple message. "This is Eli, requesting immediate assistance. A known alien presence at my farm. Possible danger approaching. Need help." For a long moment, there was no response. The alien watched him, its eyes glowing faintly, humming softly. Then, a crackle over the radio signaled a reply. A calm, professional voice spoke. "Eli, we received your message. Assistance is on the way. Hold your position and maintain the safety of the alien." Relief washed over him. He was not alone. Others would come. Humans trained and courageous would arrive to help him. And somehow, the alien seemed to understand too. It leaned slightly closer to him, its small hand brushing his arm in a gesture of trust. The day passed slowly, with both of them watching the forest and fields for any sign of movement. The alien rested more confidently now, occasionally making soft humming sounds. Eli tried to respond with words, simple words of reassurance. Slowly, a rhythm of communication began between them, a silent bond forming that transcended language. As the sun began to lower in the sky, Eli noticed another change. The alien's wounds seemed to be healing faster than he had expected. It moved with more strength, its eyes brighter, and it even made small attempts to stand. Eli felt a mixture of awe and curiosity. There was something remarkable about this creature. Its resilience, combined with its intelligence, hinted at abilities beyond his understanding. By evening, Eli prepared a small area outside the farmhouse where the alien could rest more comfortably. He placed blankets and soft cushions, creating a little shelter near the garden. The alien seemed pleased, examining the space carefully, then settling down. Eli watched, thinking about how small acts like providing warmth and safety could mean so much in a dangerous world. As night fell, the first group of human fighters finally arrived. They came quietly, moving through the shadows with careful precision. Eli recognized them immediately. They were trained, disciplined, and aware of the frontier's dangers. There were 5 of them at first, each scanning the area and approaching Eli with cautious confidence. One of the fighters, a tall woman with short hair and a kind but firm expression, stepped forward. "Eli, we received your message. Are you and the alien safe?" Eli nodded. "For now, but we need to be ready. Something is coming. The fighter glanced at the alien, whose glowing eyes were now fixed on the newcomers. She smiled softly. "We've seen this species before," she said. "They are peaceful, but they are being hunted. You've done well to protect it." Eli felt a surge of pride mixed with anxiety. Protecting the alien had been instinctive, but now he understood the bigger picture. By showing kindness, he had set in motion something far greater than himself. The fighters quickly set up a small perimeter, using sensors and quiet communication devices to monitor the forest. They worked alongside Eli, explaining the potential dangers and teaching him small ways to help defend the area. Eli was amazed at their knowledge, but more than that, he was inspired by their courage. These were humans, ordinary people, yet they moved with confidence, using intelligence and teamwork to face unknown threats. As the night deepened, the alien made a soft melodic sound, as if communicating something to the fighters. They listened carefully, exchanging looks of surprise and understanding. Eli realized that the alien's people were out there, watching and perhaps waiting for this moment. His simple act of sharing a blanket had triggered a chain of events he could never have imagined. Eli sat by the fire, the alien humming softly beside him, and the human fighters patrolling round the farm. He felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. The quiet farm he had loved was no longer just his. It had become a place of hope, a beacon of courage, and a meeting point for humans and aliens alike. As he watched the stars appear in the night sky, Eli understood something deeply. In a universe filled with unknown dangers, compassion, courage, and intelligence were humanity's true strengths. By helping a single wounded alien, he had not only saved a life, but had also begun a story that would ripple across the galaxy. And somewhere, beyond the trees and distant skies, Eli knew that the aliens' people were gathering, ready to respond to the signal of trust and bravery he had shown. The quiet farm was about to become the center of something much bigger, a gathering of allies, courage, and the unstoppable spirit of humanity. Eli had always loved the quiet of his farm, nestled on the edge of a green valley, far from the crowded human colonies. His little home seemed like the perfect place to escape the constant noise of city life. The fields stretched like oceans of grass, waving in the wind, and the distant mountains framed the horizon with quiet majesty. On most nights, the stars above seemed close enough to touch, twinkling in a way that made Eli feel both small and infinite at the same time. This night was especially calm. The moon cast silver light over the fields, and a soft breeze carried the scent of fresh soil and wildflowers. Eli had just finished repairing the fence near the northern edge of his farm, and was heading back to the house when a strange sound caught his attention. It was a soft, rhythmic cry, almost like a faint whistle, coming from the forest beyond the pasture. At first, he thought it might be an injured animal. There were plenty of foxes and deer in the area, and sometimes even birds would get caught in the cold nights. But this sound was different. It had a rhythm, a pattern, and something about it made Eli pause cautiously. He approached the tree line, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. That's when he saw a small figure lying on the ground, barely moving. At first, he couldn't make out what it was. Its body was thin, almost fragile, and its skin seemed to shimmer faintly in the moonlight. Its eyes, large and glowing softly, opened just enough to look at him. Eli froze. The creature was humanoid, but clearly not human. Its arms were longer than normal, and its fingers ended in delicate tips. Its skin had a soft, almost translucent quality, like the light from the stars had been captured and poured over its body. The alien made a low, musical sound, like it was trying to speak but couldn't find the right words. Instinct took over. Eli dropped to his knees beside the alien. "Hey, it's okay," he whispered, even though he wasn't sure if it could understand. He quickly checked for injuries. Its leg was bent at an odd angle, and there was a small cut on its shoulder that had begun to bleed. The alien flinched at the touch but didn't pull away. Eli didn't hesitate. He gently lifted the alien and carried it back to the farmhouse. The journey was slow, and every step made him worry that he might hurt it more. But somehow, the alien trusted him enough to remain still. Once inside, Eli placed it carefully on a pile of blankets near the fireplace. "Here, "This will keep you warm," he said softly, wrapping one of his blankets around the alien's shoulders. The alien shivered slightly and let out a soft hum, a sound that almost sounded like a sigh of relief. Eli smiled, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. He had never felt this way before about anyone or anything that wasn't human. The kitchen was quiet except for the crackle of the fire. Eli fetched a cup of water and set it near the alien's hand. The alien tilted its head curiously and took a slow sip, its eyes never leaving his. There was a moment of silence, as if both were trying to understand each other without words. Eli decided to talk anyway. "I'm Eli," he said. "I live here alone. Don't worry, I won't hurt you." He kept his voice calm, soft, and steady. The alien seemed to respond, tilting its head and making a sound that almost resembled a whisper. It was clear it understood some form of communication, even if it couldn't speak words like humans. As the night deepened, Eli worked carefully to clean the alien's wound. He used water and cloth, gently dabbing at the cut. The alien flinched once, then remained still, letting him continue. Its trust was growing slowly, and Eli felt honored by it. Hours passed, and the alien began to relax. It leaned slightly against Ellie's arm, its glowing eyes dimming a little as if it felt safe for the first time in a long while. Eli couldn't help but notice the small markings on the alien's arm, strange symbols that seemed almost like tattoos but faintly glowing in the dim light. He had never seen anything like them. Curiosity tugged at him, but he didn't press. He didn't want to scare the alien. For now, his job was simple: keep it safe and warm. He fetched more blankets, arranging them so the alien could lie comfortably by the fire. The soft heat seemed to soothe its trembling body. Eli couldn't sleep, though. His mind was buzzing with questions. Where had this alien come from? Why was it here, alone and wounded? And most importantly, what kind of dangers might follow it to his quiet farm? Despite these worries, he felt a strange sense of purpose. He had always thought his life would be simple, filled with farming and quiet nights. But now, everything had changed with the arrival of this small, glowing visitor dot as dawn approached. The alien stirred slightly. Its eyes flickered open, and it made a soft, melodic sound. Eli leaned closer. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe here." The alien's eyes seemed to focus on him, as if it were trying to understand the words. Slowly, it reached out a hand and placed it gently on Ellie's arm. That small gesture was enough to make him realize that even though they were different, some forms of trust were universal. The morning sun began to rise over the horizon, casting a golden light over the farm. Birds chirped in the distance, and the fields glowed with dew. Eli sat beside the alien, silently watching it rest. He had no idea what would come next, but for now, he knew one thing: he couldn't turn his back on this creature. Then, just as he was beginning to feel a sense of calm, a strange sound echoed from the nearby forest, a soft rustle, followed by a faint hum of energy. Ellie's heart raced. He knew immediately that they were not alone. Someone or something was approaching. The alien stirred again, its glowing eyes widening in alarm. Eli placed a hand on its shoulder. "Don't worry," he said, though his own voice carried a hint of tension. "We'll handle this together." Eli quickly looked around his farmhouse, thinking of ways to protect the alien if needed. He realized that his quiet farm, which had always felt so safe, was now at the center of something much bigger than he had ever imagined. Somewhere out there, other beings were aware of the alien, and they might be coming, some to help, some to harm. The alien made a sound, almost like a question. Eli smiled faintly. "I don't know what's out there either," he admitted, "but I promise we'll face it together." For the first time in his life, Eli felt the weight of responsibility, not just for himself, but for someone entirely different from him. He had no weapons, no special training, and no allies nearby. All he had was his determination and a simple blanket to offer warmth. And somehow, he felt that was enough for now. As the sun climbed higher, the alien slowly sat up, testing its legs. Eli noticed that it moved carefully, still weak but determined. He fetched some food, simple farm bread and water, hoping it would help restore its strength. The alien examined the food curiously, then took small bites. its movements hesitant but growing more confident with each taste. Eli watched it with a mix of wonder and pride. Even in its vulnerability, the alien carried a quiet dignity, a strength that seemed to come from its very being. He realized that this little creature was far more resilient than it appeared, and perhaps, in a way, it had already begun to teach him about courage. By midday, the alien was resting again, its breathing steadier. Eli sat nearby, thinking about what might come next. He had a feeling that this was only the beginning and that the peaceful days of farming he had imagined were over. And then, as if to confirm his suspicions, the faint hum from the forest returned, this time closer, more insistent. Ellie's heart pounded. Whatever it was no longer a distant noise. Something was coming toward the farm. Eli tightened his grip on the blanket around the alien, ready to protect it at all costs. He didn't know what awaited them, but he knew one thing clearly. He would not let harm come to this small, glowing visitor. Not while he was here. And so, under the brightening morning sky, with the wind rustling through the fields and the sun casting long shadows, Eli and the alien waited together for whatever was approaching, ready to face the unknown.